And then I kind of coordinate those 4 nodes. We're part of a bigger network,
Right.
but I personally try to oversee the nodes that are serving the South and the West sides because the people that I recruited. So we share supplies. I manage the distribution from the sense of finding drivers and such. Most of that was done through Ray. We've recently had an organization, one of the Southside organizations, step up and say, we'll help out because most of his couriers were so far away from us that it was becoming a time problem. So we distribute things, but basically everybody does what they can. So I'm a big believer in doing what you can, where you are, and what you have. So we have one node that doesn't make anything. They're just strictly distribution. We have 3 nodes are also making things. We accept, but one node makes more fabric masks into 3D printers. They have 1 printer at the time. So our biggest obstacle is 3D printers. So it's been helpful that there are a lot of North Side folks who said, you know what, we'll print and just bring our stuff to you.
Yeah, that's cool. And what about the hospitals in the area? Have they been receptive to the donations?
Yes, we've not had anyone say no yet. Okay. I've heard the different story on the other side of town, but then they're inundated, and a lot of those hospitals are large private conglomerates, and the supply chain is catching up now. Interestingly enough, and I won't mention the company, I had a person reach out to say, we've got all these face shields that the hospitals won't accept. Will you take them? So, because they kind of came to the game late, and they didn't really do enough research about what works. They went and said, I got this great idea, let me make this thing. The hospital said, we don't want that. So
really, yeah. And yeah, so are you fine? I mean, there was the Swedish design that Jay described and the kind of modified Prusa design. You know, was there any difference in which face shield they preferred, the hospital?
So early on, they just wanted to protect their healthcare workers.
Right.
But honestly, the Prusa design and the Swedish design are all based on the Prusa design. It's a remix of it. Yeah. The Swedish design is a shorter or narrower version of the original Prusa design. But that design is the preferred one because it provides most flexibility. It's easy to use. You can use commonly found materials for the shield. That one has been widely accepted. The NIH version of the Prusa field with the shield to it is actually the preferred one. You know, it's almost become my workshop.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I think everybody I talk to, I can hear the hum of 3D printers in the background.
So this shield, I can see it from here.
Yeah.
The hood on it, you probably seen it to the right. This is the NIH version of the Prusa shield. This is the original. Well, the original Prusa shield was actually twice as tall, which isn't necessary. So it takes a lot longer to print. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and one thing that Dan Meyer from the museum has done is he's taken that and modified it further so that it prints like this. Oh. It just compresses it. But what it does is it allows you to print on a smaller print bed.
Right.
So now we're able to activate more printers that way.
Right. Yeah, I talked to Sasha. She was using a FlashForge Finder printer that had a smaller bed, and she said, you know, she couldn't print the wider settings.
Yeah, and the Creality Ender 3 has a small bed too. That's another popular one that at least a few people in my community have them. They have a smaller one, so that's why they can all be productive. So the hospitals prefer those over the ones that, it's another Swedish version that's...
They prefer which one?
These are all basically the same thing.
Right, right.
So they prefer this for routine use.
Okay, right.
But for the medical staff who are doing procedures, they prefer this version because this one has the dome over the top.
And that one that's the original Prusa. Is that the Swedish one?
No, the green one is the Swedish one.
Okay, and the yellow one is what?
The yellow one is the Prusa version. Okay. This was adapted from Prusa. Honestly, all 3 of them were adapted from Prusa.
Yeah.
But this is the one that Prusa submitted to NIH to get approval.
Right.
So this is...
I really appreciate it. You're the first one to kind of explain, because you know, I kind of look at it and I say, well, everything gets modified. So they kind of talk about the end, you know, where it is then, but
Yeah. No,
they
but
are kind of,
it started at Prusa. If you look at it, if you
yeah,
follow the timeline, because we were looking at it early, trying to find out what we could do.
right.
And so I got a chance to notice some of the progression.
Have you had any trouble getting materials like the PETG?
We had lots of trouble getting the plastic. That's been really problematic. Getting the filament hasn't been as tough.
Right.
It was difficult at first. A lot of the guys on the north side who started off used their own filament, or they were purchasing it. And
Right.
at least with purchasing it locally became a problem. But most of the volunteers who were on the north side worked at large institutions that had large stocks of filament.
Yeah.
And so it was not a problem. And now DePaul has been fundraising, so they're providing filament. Pumping Station 1 is providing filament. As a matter of fact, one of our small organizations, I shouldn't call them small, a big impact, but it's a really small organization called Kids Off the Block.
Okay. Kids Off the Block.
They had a donor who said, you know what, if you want to, they'll buy you a 3D printer. And before then, her approach was, I can't do this. So they will start producing PPE next week also.
That's great. Do the hospitals give you some indication of how much they need and whether you're able to, you know, scale up?
Personally, I'm trying to operationalize this because what happened originally is that it was personal networks. Okay, so you can understand why it started in one community. A neighbor who's a doctor goes to his friend and says, I hear you 3D printing stuff. Get some from my hospital. So that's how it started. On the south side, though, that wasn't happening. So there phone calls being made asking, what do you need? And we get responses from mostly, how much can you give me? Yeah. So what I started doing was giving them a 50 to start and tell them how long to last.